This is going to be AP Gov Review 7. Going to finish up the president here, get through the bureaucracy, and that'll be it today. Yesterday we got through imperial presidency, so now we're on inherent powers. Inherent powers of the president are kind of like Congress's implied powers. They're those powers that have that don't exist in the Constitution. However, given the president's formal or constitutional powers, the president kind of goes above and beyond and exercises these inherent powers. So inherent powers, an example would be an executive order. Another example would be the executive agreements. Okay, so the executive order just rests on the fact that the president is over the bureaucracy. Therefore, the president can tell the bureaucracy to do some things that carry the weight of law and change policy. The president is basically the leader of foreign policy, the chief diplomat in the United States. Therefore, the president can just make a informal deal with another head of state and circumvent that Senate treaty approval process. Okay, there you go. They're your inherent powers. The lame duck period, this refers to the fact that the president in office is not, has either lost the election or has just simply served that second term and they cannot run for re-election. There's a new president-elect. That happens in November. However, you're not sworn into office as president until January 20th. So that time period from November to January 20th, you're considered the lame duck president. Congress is not going to work with you. The line item veto, right, does not exist. The line item veto it was around for just a little while in the 90s. This was an attempt to eliminate pork barrel legislation. So eliminate what lawmakers consider the waste in those spending bills. So the president could approve some spending as a part of a bill and then eliminate others. However, it was ruled unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said that is the president legislating. That violates the Constitution because the president is not supposed to be legislating. This president is supposed to be either just signing into law or vetoing. They shouldn't be shaping legislation once it reaches them. Okay, the pocket veto is in the Constitution. The pocket veto basically means that if Congress has gone out of session and they pass some bills, they go out of session. When those bills go to the president's desk, the president could just sit there for 10 days, do nothing, and now those bills have been pocket vetoed. They will die. Now, if Congress is in session and those bills are on the president's desk and they sit there for 10 days, then they would automatically become law. But the pocket veto is Congress has gone out of session. These bills go to the president does nothing, they will die. Okay, Presidential Succession Act, this just sets up the succession if something happens to the president or vice president, right? So it goes president, vice president, then it goes Speaker of the House, then it goes president pro tempore, and then you start getting into the cabinet and so forth. Not that big of a deal of a concept. Signing statements. Okay, so when the president receives laws, remember, Congress passes laws that are kind of broad in general. They expect the executive agencies, they expect the bureaucracy to provide the details in how the law is implemented. All right, that discretionary authority of the bureaucracy. So when the president receives these bills that are kind of general and kind of broad, the president will issue a signing statement saying, kind of directing the agency, here's how I read this law, here's how I expect you to carry it out. All right. State of the Union is a formal or constitutional power of the president. It's just that once a year, the president, right, goes before Congress and basically sets the legislative agenda. The White House staff, I talked about yesterday, right? The White House staff serves under the chief of staff, right? These people are not appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. They're just, the president just simply hires them. Normally, these have been people that served as a part of their election team. And they manage the day-to-day operations of the White House. So they manage all those people, all that information going in and out of the White House on a daily basis. All right, the bureaucracy. The Civil Service Commission. Okay, so remember the bureaucracy, pre 1890s, you really had the spoil system going down where essentially the president would appoint loyal party members, basically friends, associates to all these government jobs. By about 1890, Congress realizes this is not a good way to operate a government, right? If the bureaucracy is supposed to be experts, we need to be getting experts, not just simply people that are close to the president. So you get the Pendleton Civil Service Act. The Pendleton Civil Service Act creates the Civil Service Commission, and it moves it away from this spoils system and away from this patronage to this merit system. So now it's based on merit. It's based on expertise. So the Civil Service Commission will administer exams and interviews to make sure that these people that are staffing these bureaucratic agencies have the expertise. All right. The Hatch Act, highly doubt it shows up. This just simply means that if you are appointed to one of these positions, you can't use that position in a political manner. You can't use your position to try and influence an election. So if you work for the EPA, you can't just simply use your position at the EPA to try and get the person you want elected. Okay, that's the Hatch Act. Iron Triangle, I'm going to go over in a later video, kind of like a wrap-up video. I don't think it shows up because it includes interest groups, and interest groups are a part of Unit 4. I usually teach it with interest groups, so hang tight on that. The legislative veto, this existed for a little while. This just was it. Basically, Congress could veto or nullify the action of an executive agency. It's not around because it violates separation of powers. The president is really supposed to be the one that would, nullify the action of an executive agency. Congress should not be doing that. Again, minor concept. Highly doubt that would show up. Red tape. This is just a criticism of the fact that bureaucracies tend to be slow. There tends to be a lot of procedures involved, right? Think about, the negative reputation of things like the DMV, right? Long line application, all that stuff, okay? That's considered red tape. So for example, like my passport's expired. It expired last year. I shouldn't have let it expire because now I'm going to have to show up with an application, pay a fee and all that. That's all that red tape involved with that bureaucracy, okay? Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to knock out the entire judiciary and then jump on all the rest of the stuff. There you go.